morning, everyone. This is Ben Dunn, founder of Anarchy Press, a comic book publishing company established in 1985. Also, the creator of such comics as Warrior Nun, Mighty Tiny, Ninja High School, Marvel Mangaverse, Tomorrow Girl, and a host of other creations. So, some people have asked me, what exactly is work for hire? Well, work for hire is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. Somebody hires you to do some work. Basically, what it is that let's say you are somebody looking for an artist. Now, this is only specific, I think, to the comic industry. You're looking for an artist or a writer or some creator, and you basically hire them on a per project basis. You're looking for someone to help you with your creative endeavor, and you're looking for someone to basically fulfill that need. Now, back in the day, it was a little bit harder. You usually had to stick with what was available locally. Usually, or when you go to a convention, you could hook up with people through the mail, which was a lot longer process, a lot harder to do. But usually talent was local. A couple of friends got together, created something, or somebody was looking for talent and let it be known that they were hiring. And they would sometimes troll comic book conventions and such looking for talent. Now, these days, it's far easier to find talent. You can go overseas. You can find people here. You can make connections very easily on things like Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, X, and a host of other social media sites where a countless number of artists are advertising their talent. So it's just a matter of being able to negotiate with the talent so that you can bring your project to life. Now, what does it mean to be a work for hire on the creative aspect of it? Well, it's like I said, it is defined exactly as it is implied. You are being hired by somebody to work on a project. Now, the implication is that it is you will be paid based on what the project owner is willing to pay, and you can accept or reject based on whether you think it's worth your time and effort to complete that project. Now, it's also implied, unless it's specifically stated, that you will retain no rights to any of the creation once you're hired to complete a project. Now, this can change on a case-by-case basis depending on the creator. If he's willing to share in some of the rights to the creation, then that by all means you should very much accept it. But usually that comes with a caveat that you'll get a less upfront or less per page. Now, that's totally up to you. You can decide whether that's acceptable or not, and that is certainly your prerogative. Now, on the other end of it, you basically, it's like a one and done. You hire somebody, they do the project, and then they're expected to move on. You're sort of like a journeyman, where they come in, do stuff. They used to do this a lot back in the old days. There would be comic book artists who would go from one publisher to another, offering their talent with the expectation they would own nothing. They would just draw the book, get paid, and move on to something else, not realizing that perhaps they were leaving behind a billion-dollar franchise or characters that would generate countless amounts of revenue for that company. Now, things have changed a little bit. More people are savvy. They're aware of the value of certain IPs, and that they're a little bit more aware of that. Now, you have to understand, especially on the creative aspect of it, that there is no expectation of owning any part of any creative endeavor that you yourself did not create from the ground up. So you should be aware of that and fully expect it. So I just wanted to make that clear as far as work for hire is concerned. Now, what are the advantages of work for hire? Well, the main advantage is that if you're talented enough, then your work will always be in demand. People like Alex Ross, for instance, or a lot of other comic book artists, they they very rarely create original characters of their own. They're basically, their talent is of a high enough caliber and skill that they can demand huge amounts of money to they make enough basically to not have to worry about creating their own creations. Now, that doesn't mean that they couldn't if they wanted to. They just choose not to do so. Some people like Jim Lee who do work for hire, but also create their own material. That's in a very sweet spot. A lot of creators like to create their own things because they like to own it. They want to be able to exploit it themselves, and that's the one advantage that artists do have over writers as far as comics are concerned. Writers have to hire artists in order to see their creation come true, while artists really don't need writers to make their creations come true. Now, could they benefit from a good writer? Yes, they could. And just the opposite way could happen too. Artists could hire a writer to write a story for them with the expectation that they themselves are not going to own any part of that particular IP unless they are willing to share in part of that. That's totally voluntary, and it's definitely something that can be worked out. Now, the important thing is that whenever you accept any type of work for hire, you got to have something in writing. It's very important, whether it's an actual contract or an email or something like that. Now, oral contracts can be enforced if in a lot of states, and then I think that and can be just as valid as any written contract. However, should you ever have to go to court or have to challenge the veracity of the work, then it's much more difficult with an oral agreement. If you have any type of email or contract or anything written, as proof of the work, then that is way much in your favor. Because if something were to go wrong, and oftentimes they do, then at least you have proof that this is what you're owed. Now, there are several ways you can approach this. If you're a creator and you're wanting to get paid, you can decide to get either a royalty or page rate or a little bit of both. It depends on how generous the creator is in terms of wanting to hire you to do the work. Now, I myself personally, I prefer giving in advance against pages, the number of pages, so to speak. I can pay in installments as the pages are getting completed. Some creators prefer that, or I can pay per page as the pages are completed. This way, it encourages the artist or the creator to actually create pages in order to get paid. And on the other side, you take care of that page right away. It's not as much of a financial burden if you take care of it one page at a time, as opposed to trying to pay it all at once. So it's, to me, it's far easier, and it creates a steady flow of both work and payment at the same time. Now, of course, that can change, and it can vary from project to project. It's just a matter of how you want to work it out. But this works for me, and I personally like to use it. So anyway, that's just a little behind the scene thing about what it means to be work for hire, and I hope you find that useful. So be kind to each other, do as you will, harm no one. Until next time, this is Ben Dunn signing off.